TM. Without phone. Without phone. You made me sleep alone. But I know you will. Very much I made you. They asked me the balance. I left
Yo, how are you?
I left the balance there. You ask her.
So, okay, so Goretti, I've made you the host.
Okay.
Go up in the next few minutes. Yeah, so I'm just go in the settings and activate the chat thing, whereby even hosts can panelists can chat.
Those are the people who serve now.
This one. Huh? Hey Emma, tampulira oba aliwa oba akyali mu buliri. So great, let me give you the hosting rights right now and then mfulume. Dr. Lena mpitanga ki. Where are you go? I wish I could.
Recording mwebiri.
Tujja bisalamu tofaayo. So where I go? Oh, let me scroll. I can reclaim.
Hello? Connected. Maybe you need to asleep. You're the host, so as long as you're connected, let's take over.
Sigiri, the process is tedious before you get the food on fire. But today, we just connected it to power and set 15 minutes, and my rice was ready for eating. I encourage everybody to buy electric pressure cooker and make your life easy. It doesn't take long to prepare food. Let it be molokonyi, let it be beef, let it be beans. It takes a few minutes to get ready and your food is done. I would like to thank National Renewable Energy Platform together with UK Aid for the support and the Ministry of Energy in coming up with this project. And we are doing a whole year partnership with the Ministry of Energy together with the National Renewable Energy Platform. This is making people's lives easy.
So today we are in Ongino Town Council, Kumi District, for the clean cooking campaign. This activity is going to last for 2 days. Friday, 4th of April, we are in Ongino Town Council, and the 5th, we shall be in Nyero Town Council to showcase how we can prepare our staple foods of Teso, how you can prepare amukeke, ataba, all these other kinds of food. Our people of Teso will learn or will appreciate that these appliances are suitable for cooking these local meals. And first, beyond just cooking local meals, the time saving. We've bought several appliances, so those that are able to buy are leaving this place with some of these appliances. We shall have 5 cultural leaders in a clean cooking demonstration campaign. And in particular emphasis today, they're using the electric pressure cookers to prepare local foods for the Itesots.
My name is Patricia Osman. I work with Capital Radio. My experience today has been to cook beef with the electric pressure cooker. And what amazed me is that I cooked under 35 minutes, ordinarily with my sigiri and everything, starting from the process of lighting the sigiri, making sure it catches, and then all that, it would be a longer process of maybe approximately 2 hours. But I'm amazed that I've been able to cook under 35 minutes. I would recommend, if you can afford, please buy. Make life easy.
My name is of the Clean Cooking Alternatives exhibition happening at Capital FM, supported by National Renewable Energy Platform and other stakeholders such as UK Aid and other partners on board. I am happy that I've seen different alternatives of clean cooking. These alternatives are very affordable and they are clean. You don't have to spend a lot of time cooking your matoke, cooking your meats, or cooking your molokoni. So I'm happy to be part of this initiative. I call everyone to support and come and promote the clean cooking alternative.
My name is Tashovia Crispus. I work with the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, and I am the carbon and green finance expert. Today we are at Capital Radio to demonstrate how these technologies work. And so we want Ugandans to adopt this transition. The slogan is going to be clean cooking for everyone, and we would appreciate seeing every family transition from those 3 cookstone traditional mechanisms of cooking, and then now heading into using better means of cooking which do not affect the environment. Here we are talking about greenhouse gas emissions that are emitted due to poor methods of cooking. So this can only be addressed by proper means of cooking.
I have cooked beef. My experience is that ordinarily the time that I would spend to cook beef on a sigiri was shorter. Tops it would be like 2 hours, but today I used under 35 minutes, which I found very exciting. Also, it was less cumbersome, that the smoke, as you put pepper to light the sigiri, the smoke and everything, it was clean cooking. There was nothing like that. So I've enjoyed the experience, and the final bit was to actually taste the beef, and it tasted amazing.
Nze nfumbye enva z'ebijanjaalo. Naye obudde bwe nkozesezza okufumba ebijanjaalo busingako bwe nandimaze nga nfumbira ku sigiri y'amanda oba enku. Nkozesezza eddakiika 45 zokka. Ze nkozesezza okufumba enva z'ebijanjaalo nga ziyidde, nga zigonda bulungi, ate nga zikoze kasupu akatuufu. Kwegamba abakaliddeko abakiriddeko mu butuufu.
Babadde bakiyita ekijanjaalo kyani? Ekijanjaalo kya?
Bakiyise nti ekijanjaalo kya Becky. And I was so happy because bawomeddwa enva ezo. Thank you.
Kyensinza okulaba mu nfumbye ekigere, naye kyensinza okunyumirwamu nakitaddeko ne ngenda ne nkola ebyange. Sikebeddeeko kasita nakitaddemu ebirungo, ennyaanya, tewabadde kuseesa, tewabadde simanya kukomawo kulya nti kiwunya bubi, ate enswera zinyooka, ate ki tebibaddeewo. Nyenza okukomawo nina akantu ke nkutteko bwe nti ne kafuuwa omukka ne guggwayo. Kasita omukka guweddeko ne mbikkula essefe ng'ekigere nga kiyidde. So kyensinza okufunamu nga experience kubeera nti nsobola okubirekako nengenda nenkola ebyange, as long as nkiwadde command ngenda okomawo nga biyidde nga ndya buli. Big up.
Amazina nibanyeta Himsa Edward, sales manager wa Capital Radio, naba ni supervising omukoro gw'okuteeka. Mbwenu nyowe kyandenga I was very surprised. Na following ebintu bibiri, morokonyi na n'ebihimba ebya Becky, because I love morokonyi and my mother loves ebihimba, nakunda ebihimba munonga. Nareba ebihimba obwiro bwingi ntukoresa twakoresa eddakiika 45. Morokonyi, I was very surprised surely. Can I say this? Morokonyi usually takes over the whole day cooking morokonyi, because I leave my wife, I take home morokonyi mukasheshe to be patient. But for this I put morokonyi, I was on a Zoom. Within 45 minutes, I was very amazed. And I saw very fast, we are going big.
Atera moko sigiri kosa kendo. Titedo moloko nyima 3 hours kosa 4 hours. Kono ni me and atedo muchiere i 15 minutes. To muchiere ochiek mang'we kur makisi dhano mitamita chamo muchiere. Otedi moloko nyika idaka 45.
Osonga muze nogera mulu. Zomo fudu.
Otedi moloko nyika mako iparan otedo. Idaka 45 kende moloko nyoshiek. Iwinjo? Beans idaka 45 beans oshiek. Jo wata jo Uganda jo padola juma jo winjo. Gima Ministry of Energy otimori wan konon kosa gima jukelo I country me I piny me for the weekend yang motere. Kon paka wi winjo. Nyang wi washim. Jome jokelo gimolako kwa mayot. Itedo tiende dhiang idaka 45, itedo ringo idaka 15, itedo beans idaka 45, itedo muchieri idaka 15. Jo wata nyie wiwini pressure cookers me wiloki kwa mayot. Wangoye wini teliro twinyiraki timo kwane loki kwa mayot. Nyie pressure cooker itedi idaka 15 toko chemore nitendo jishim. Jaduongo duoko pechon mango chiemo chia. Amo miyo afoyo jo Minister of Energy, afoyo jo National Renewable Energy Platform, kanyachiel gi the funder UKAID. Makelo this campaign, makelo this project, ma establishing these products to make life easy. Afoyo witekte, afoyo umara.
Amanya gange nze Helena Ligawesa nkola wano ku Capital Radio. Nze experience je nfunye mu kufumbisa electric pressure cooker yeno. Badde nkola n'omukyala Rebecca Jingao atufumba bijanjalo ono nga mpeereza nga ye yakola ogw'okufumba. Naye kye nnyinza okubagamba omuntu akozesa pressure cooker eno aba weewonya emirimu mingi newofumbira waba watukula. Tewali manda, tewali kwera ng'omaliriza, buli kimu kikola bulungi. Pressure cooker osobola n'ogikwatako y'amasannyalaze eba efumba kyokka teyokya. Kitegeeza n'abantu abakwetoolodde bonna oba obakuuma nga bali safe. Ofumba mangu, toyonoona budde, oteekako bijanjalo, kyusa amazzi, yongeramu emirundi 4, 3 bijanjalo tebijja, oteekamu amazzi omulundi gumu kyokka ago amazzi gennyini g'okozesa ate era okufumba. Kati nkubiriza abantu mwenna abaliyo munoonye pressure cooker eno, tujja nakubawa omutwale bwe mufuna ba distributor baazo musobole okubatuukako obulungi, bajja baguza bulungi naye kijja tuyambako nammwe. Amanda banaye tegakyajja, amanda baagajjawo okugasaza okugajja eggulo gatuuse nawe nammwe byesonyiwe bagenda okugaa nti tetukyakozesa amanda nga olwedde mmwe mwaswikinga dda temubeera nga bano bekiguddeko obugwi. Tubakuliza mumenye pressure cooker zino nnungi zigira mu sizes ez'enjawulo. So alina family entono osobola okugula entono, alina family ennene osobola okugula pressure cooker ennene. N'emmeki zaazo za njawulo naye akasente kali affordable. Otunulira sente z'okozesa amanda mu mwezi. Wano oba osevinze sente nyingi nyata amasannyalaze gaba matini ddala bwe gati osobola n'okugepimira ng'otaddeko yakawali n'olaba mita z'okozesezza zigundi units z'okozesezza. Kati nze mbadde mbakubiriza mbasaba muwombeeko w'ekitalo mugezeeko nammwe mujja kuwa obujulizi nga bwe mpa essaawa zino.
Did you know that firewood and charcoal remain the main source of energy for cooking in Uganda, accounting for over 90% of the energy balance? However, this dependency has negative impacts on the environment and public health. But there is a solution. Introducing the electric pressure cooker supported by the government of Uganda and its partners. This innovative, efficient cooker can prepare a such as matoke, posho, beans, meat, millet flour and others in just a few minutes with little electricity consumption. And to make cooking easier, Modern Energy Cooking Services prepared an e-cooking book for Uganda. Switch to cooking using an electric pressure cooker and enjoy reduced energy costs. For more information, contact us on
video for you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming through for the third session for the media training on clean cooking. Let's wait for some minutes as the numbers rise, then we shall begin. morning, everyone. I think we can start as we wait for other members to come in to join the webinar. My name is Nanta Igareti, and I'm working with the renewable energy platform as an associate officer, technical. So with me today, we have Mr. Okech Lazarus, Mark, and Miss Maria Kiza. Today we are going to have the third session for the media personnel training on clean cooking, and this is going to be, the topic is inclusive report writing on clean cooking, on clean cooking initiatives. Last week we had the second session, which was about the socio-economic impact of clean cooking. So there were very many questions that were asked, and which reflected that there was a very good participation, and probably understood whatever was being told, or whatever was being taught on that day. Am I audible enough? Someone is telling me to check the audio. So today, we're going to have a recap of what was taught last week by Miss Maria Kiza. We are going to have a registration link that is going to be posted in the chat. We shall have also the assignment that will be posted on the chat, the training material, and will be also the training material, and the webinar recording will also be posted in the group and also the chat. Thank you so much. So thank you so much for listening. Mr. Okech, could you please greet our listeners today, our participants? Lazarus, are you there?
Yes, Goreti, I am here. I think I keep on losing some bits. Thank you very much for that introduction, Goreti. My name is Okech, Mark Lazarus. I'll try to turn on my video, and I hope I am being seen and heard. My name is Okech, Mark Lazarus. I work with the National Renewable Energy Platform. I support the platform with knowledge management and monitoring and evaluation. I'm so happy to be here. I am one of the persons who value the media. Why? Because most of the material that we produce ends up either on the shelf or ends up being used only internally by a few people, or also some researchers, mostly who are academic researchers and are looking at advancing their own agenda. So media, I view media as one of those channels, or one of those those stakeholders who are extremely key in relaying information to the wider public, but also driving behavior change. They have that, they have the audience, and they also have the power to influence people to drive change in behavior, especially in this case, now that we're talking about clean cooking. I look forward to wonderful interaction with you. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Ketch. Ms. Kiza Maria, could you please come in for an introduction?
Thank you, colleagues. Once again, happy to meet you all for our week 3 training. I'm happy that we're getting some feedback and questions and also traction regarding the involvement of media. You recall that previously in our first trainings, we've been really focusing on giving you the policy directions, data associated with clean cooking, but also sharing with you colleagues, like getting remarks from all presentations from colleagues who are highly involved in this sector. So today, maybe in your chat, you can type how far you're going with what we've experienced from sessions 1 or 2. I'll be able to look at it because we want to really get feedback on this process. Like we promised, this is going to be sort of an interactive or practical training. So one of the things we look at as practical is you sharing with us your stories so that we improve the way you're reporting. Why do we look at inclusion today? Because at the end of the day, when we're reporting, that we are quite a number of, like based on gender, we quite all many, like we have differences, but things like implementation of activities within the sector actually bring us together. So as we recap through the journey previously and where we are now, moving forward, we want to see your engagement through fact sheets, through videos. I'll inform you that during this training, we prepared to support at least 10 journalists with mini projects. It could be a social media campaign, it could be a documentary, but this can only be taken forward when you actually part and parcel of this training, when you're submitting your assignments in time. Your assignment could be maybe a script on an upcoming documentary you want to cover, and you want to work with NREP at the end of the day to present that project. Good initiatives will really be recognized when we have the final meeting and breakfast meeting. Goretti will also emphasize on the field mission that is coming up, but we also are looking for, like, among you media practitioners around Kampala, we want to volunteer and host sort of like a clean cooking session and invite also other media people so that we show you how these technologies really work. It could be in the final meeting because these are 5 online sessions where we're doing discussions. Coming from where we started, we had the Ministry of Energy giving us statistics on where we are. And you agree with me that the dominance of traditional biomass ranges from 80 to 90, depending on the statistics source and depending on an assessment or sample size that has been considered in that baseline, all feasibility. You'll also agree with me that there are a lot of things we need to do as stakeholders in communication, but we do not just go in communicating without evidence. That's why we keep on emphasizing sources of data. If you did not get the presentations for last week, if your mail was not shared, kindly tell us so that we share it with you. You'll be able to follow the discussions and be able to write your articles. We shared with you a link to the WhatsApp group. We've also shared with you taglines where you can put in copy these stakeholders, but also give you an opportunity to interact with policymakers if in case you need to back up your story. So we are waiting for your submission and stories, and at least 10 of you will have your mini projects supported to increase awareness in clean cooking, but also walk the journey with us up to the Renewable Energy Conference that is going to be happening around October. You will have an open ticket to that participation. Thank you so much, and over to you, Goretti. I'll continue submitting as we move forward during the discussion. Bye.
Thank you so much, Miss Maria, for that introduction. I think now we can dive into the presentation. I'll invite Mr. Kech Lazarus to share his presentation.
All right. Thank you very much, Goretti and Maria, for driving this campaign. I hope my screen is to go. Hello.
Lazarus, we hear you
Hello,
perfectly.
We can hear you.
Proceed.
Yeah, so I just want to give a preamble of what the team presented in the previous week, because it helps in this phase of inclusive reporting. So as Maria discussed socioeconomic impact of clean cooking last week, she mentioned something which is very important, and that is keeping a simple monitoring, reporting, and verification framework. Yeah, so the most important thing as a media person in your line of reporting is to define your objectives. What are your objectives in the work that you're doing? What is the objective in the short term, medium, and long term, and how do these interlink? Are you aiming to raise public awareness? Are you aiming to influence policy and action and debates? Are you aiming to track clean cooking uptake in a given community? Or, for example, the NREP campaign is ongoing. Are you aiming to track this campaign? Or are you aiming to showcase innovations and solutions from the community and from different institutions? So Maria presented a simple framework that has what the media house or what the individual personnel is looking at in terms of impact and in terms of the outcome of your campaign or of your project. Is it increase in public awareness for clean cooking? Is it number of households reporting media as a source of influencing clean cooking adoption as an outcome? From this outcome, which outputs are you looking at exactly to influence this outcome? Are you looking at publishing media stories, looking at having partnerships with local radio, TV, and media? And in what period do you want to achieve these outputs? Let us say your outputs are, I need 10 media stories published or aired by the end of this This campaign, or by the Renewable Energy Conference, like Maria has mentioned, which is about 6 months, I think now they are like 4 or 5 months to go. So from outputs, what activities are you looking at? So the hierarchy is important so that you can know the direction in which you are going, but also try to estimate how much resources you're going to put into this project. Let us say you want to produce your 10 media stories on clean cooking. Which activities are you going to undertake? Of course, you'll have to undertake data collection. You'll have to create media content. You'll have to produce this media content tailored to specific populations. So the second column that has indicators, as we look at the activities, develop a communication strategy or plan, then procure content creation software, collect tailored data for impactful reporting, analyze the data, generate, create, and distribute content, and then engage local media houses through stakeholder meetings and collaboration to publish this data. If you look at the indicators there, you have, so the indicators is what you're going to be tracking. For example, number of stakeholder engagement meetings held with local media houses after you've produced this data. How are you going to track it? You already have a targeted output of 10 media stories. So you're engaging these people, and you're also tracking the number of media stories that you're producing, let us say each month or each week. So this simple framework is important for you to keep track of what you're doing and also show direction. Just this. Okay. So when you're going to collect data, let us start from the data collection process. What types of data are you looking at? We have primary data and we have secondary data. So primary data is data you collect firsthand by yourself as a researcher for a specific purpose or a specific project. We also have secondary data. Secondary data is data which has already been collected, processed, and made available for someone else for a different purpose, but you can tailor it towards your own needs. So most of the time, the media stories that are produced, the media tries to collect, or the media personnel try to collect their own data from the field. However, if you're to do inclusive reporting, like the topic for today, you have to look at a number of sources. So secondary data is also very important data that you can use to come up with a project. For example, the Renewable Energy Conferences so far have been held 3 times. It's REC 21, 22, 23. We are going to hold REC 24 this year. If you wanted to collect data on clean cooking, you can also use these Renewable Energy Conference reports to collect or to come up with some data. And since there are 3 years already, you can even come up with some trends that you've identified or that you'd like to identify and publish in your story. So we also have another classification of data, that is quantitative and qualitative data. Quantitative data can be measured and expressed numerically. It can either be counted or it can be measured. So it deals with numbers. Qualitative data, on the other hand, is that which describes qualities or characteristics. It can be categorical. For example, male and female data is categorical data, or data on gender. Subjective or ranked. For example, if you're looking at, let us say, preference for a given fuel, a cooking fuel, somebody can either mention ethanol or mention electricity, but there is no value in between the two. It's just that they prefer this fuel and not the other. That is qualitative data. Okay. So data appears in different formats. It is not that we have to look at figures every time to get data or text. Data can appear as images, it can appear as audios, it can be a video, it can be sensor readings, it can be in form of a map. So we can get data from different formats. Okay, so looking at primary data collection methods and tools. So we have surveys. Surveys can be conducted or are mostly conducted through questionnaires. So surveys are a quantitative way of how to collect data. So they produce quantitative data. So a survey is a structured way of how to collect your data. It can be an open survey, it can be a closed survey where you have different options for a participant, in that they don't have to again write so many things. You already have predetermined answers and they just have to select. And then there are those open surveys where you want to get the view of a person on a given topic. We also have interviews, key informant interviews, which are conducted through interview guides. Basically, these are geared towards collecting qualitative data because you want to find out what someone thinks about a particular subject. So you would like to collect their views, you would like to look at their body language, so you conduct some key informant interviews. You can also conduct focus group discussions, which typically have about 6 to 12 people on a given subject through using interview guides. You can also collect primary data through observations. That is using somebody's site to identify objects or behavior or subjects within a natural environment. In the case of clean cooking, if you want to know if somebody has a kitchen and where it is situated, indoor or outdoor, you can use observation to collect that information. You can also conduct experiments. These are conducted under controlled conditions to determine a cause-effect relationship. For example, NREP is implementing a nationwide campaign. You may be interested to find out 3 or 4 months down the road whether where NREP conducted the campaign, there is some change. So you can collect this data by comparing with the community where NREP did not reach, or where communication did not reach, and find out the behavior after a given time using that kind of experimentation. Okay, for secondary data, the data collection methods for secondary data include online sources, NGO and international research reports, for example, the World Health Organization, World Bank annual reports, World Bank abstracts on clean cooking Alliance abstracts on clean cooking, commercial research market reports, books, journals, print media, websites and social media analytics, government publications, and even internal company records for company, for example, the NREP. So this that has already been collected for a particular purpose, but you can tailor it towards your own purpose or project. I have just listed some common tools and softwares for data capture and transmission. When you're collecting data, either you design your questionnaire, you've designed your interview guides, or these tools, for example, Kobo Collect is a very common tool that we normally use. In Uganda, you can also use online or questionnaires and administer them online, and then these are tabulated in form of a spreadsheet which you can access. You can also use Mentimeter. visuals collects data visually. So visual where you can get information and use this. You can also use a camera for visual data maps and also taking data on location. Okay, so I just wanted to repeat these data sources. Maria mentioned them earlier and also last week. So there are some data sources that are credible and known, ready for clean cooking. There are a number of bodies that deal in research in energy and clean cooking nationally and internationally. And there are also a number of bodies that are known for data collection, credible data collection that can be used by the nation, for example, UBOS. And also, you can use also conference reports for international conferences that are well known. And also, you can also use expert interviews and beneficiary connections. That is, so beneficiaries who have benefited from a particular technology. Okay. So how do you data collection method? So matching. So here you have to match the goal of your project with the method of data collection. So if human or from animals, in this case, regards to something that is human. So,
Mr. Lazarus, we can't see your screen and your voice is a bit breaking.
hey, hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, but you have a network issue. I think your network is a bit breaking. The voice we can't hear it clear.
Okay, how about now, Goretti?
Much better.
Okay, I'm trying to change location here and there. Okay, so we have data-driven or trend reporting. Here you need you'll need to collect data.
Hello? Mr. Lazarus.
Through surveys. You also need to
Lazarus, you
Problem?
are breaking. We cannot hear you.
Okay, let me change position.
Lazarus.
Okay, how about now?
Much better. But the participants are requesting that you go back to the previous slide. They didn't get it.
Maria, can you? The previous slide. That or Okay, so can you hear me now?
Yes, it is clear.
Okay. About matching the goal of your data collection with the right method of data collection. So it's about choosing the right method of data collection. So if your goal is to do an investigative story, you're probably looking at collecting more of qualitative data. You're looking at interviews, you're looking at data scraping, you're looking at undercover observation as well. If you're looking at observing or collecting data about a particular behavior or feature with regards to clean cooking, you're mostly looking at the in-depth interviews and personal observations as well, but also taking some videos or photos of the scenario that you're looking at. If you're looking at data-driven or trend reporting, here you're mostly looking for evidence in terms of numbers. So here you'll have to do either a survey or you have to look for a database, which can be a public database or it can be a database by a particular company that deals in clean cooking. If you're looking to produce breaking news, then you'll have to do interviews, like most of our news is, social media mining, official statements from key figures and experts in clean cooking. If you're looking for references, cleaners or different figures that you've obtained from somewhere else, you're mostly looking at secondary research. Here, looking at reports, academic papers, and also expert interviews. Okay, so after collecting data, so we are looking at the next process that feeds into data collection, and that is analysis. Am I still breaking, or can you hear me?
You are
Am I
clearly
fair
audible.
now?
You are audible enough. You are clearly audible.
All right, thank you. So data analysis is the process of examining, cleaning, transforming, and interpreting data to extract useful information, support decision-making, and identify patterns, trends, or relationships. So basically what you have input into your survey, you've used Collect to collect this data, and you now want to analyze this data. You start by looking at your data you've collected, what is called data cleaning. So you're looking at key things about the data that look or that are not coherent with what you wanted to see in the data. For example, you might have collected, you might have landed on a database, for example, from NREP or from a government. However, you notice that there are some responses that are missing. Let us say you're collecting, you have a database that has 25 participants. However, participant number 23 and number 24 do not have certain pieces of data. So you're looking at those errors so that you can clean out your data so that when you're producing an analyzed version of the data, you don't have those errors affecting your data. Then you have data exploration. So when you get a database or when you collect data, you want to first know how the data is presented. So you're looking at here, you're looking at statistics, you're looking at averages, you're looking at counts, you're looking at frequency, percentages. For example, you collected data on behavior of people towards clean cooking in Mayoge district. You want to know how many were male, how many were female. You use That is data exploration. How many people were there in total? On average, let us say you have some data on household income. On average, what do males earn? So that is called data exploration. You want to understand what the data that you collected. Then data transformation is modifying the data into a suitable format or combining it with other data. For example, let us again take that same data set of data collected from Ayega district on behavior towards clean cooking. You want to understand whether the amount of money that is earned by the household affects the type of fuel that was bought. So you ask the question, which fuels do you have in your household, or which fuels do you use in your household? There's a range: LPG, biogas, charcoal, and what have you. Then you have a question on how much income do you spend, or how much income does the household earn? So you want to compare these two, you want to transform your data, compare these two and find out whether the income that the household earns affects what kind of fuel this household buys. So that tabulation is called transformation. And then there is modeling. Modeling as well. So modeling is applying statistical models to do insights, test hypotheses, and make predictions. So modeling and transformation come hand in hand. So modeling, if you want to, for example, win so you do that modeling. Does the gender of the household of fuel that is bought?
Mr. Ketch, we have lost you. We can't, the PPT is not visible. The presentation cannot be seen.
Well, Goretti, now that we lost Okech as he gets back, maybe we can use this time to talk back to some of the participants. They may have questions. Good enough, these presentations are prepared by our team as we get back Lazarus on board. So colleagues, feel free to make a submission. You can ask to be added to speak. Then we can make some clarifications on the data types, the processes of data collection. And good enough, it is not you to actually worry about what type of data, because all this is made available in reports that you research, but normally you need to maybe do secondary data verification. That's why we are taking you through this process for you to appreciate what data is actually relevant when you're collecting and compiling those media reports, so that you do not seem to be cooking data. So if we have any submissions and questions, you may ask in. Yes.
If Mr. David Magere is, I'm seeing your hand up.
They need to be added as a speaker. You need to, if you have the controls, you need to accept them to, if you are the host, you need to allow them to speak.
He has been given permission to talk. Mr. David? David Magere. Maybe it was a mistake. He's not speaking. Maybe it was.
Okay, then if Lazarus is back, it's also good, but it's good to be talking back to you, colleagues online, so that we actually understand what the mood is, if we are at the same page of this discussion, because at the end of the day, this is going to help us do our next assignment, but also your next project that you would be proposing to NREP. Yes.
Yes, we have. I think we have lost Lazarus again.
It's okay, but maybe now asking back to colleagues online. Thumbs up if you're listening. Participants, let's see a thumbs up. I don't know if we are listening, because we might end up be talking to ourselves. Thumbs down if you do not have any question. Let me see a reaction.
Jeff is saying listening. Ahumuza John Baptist is listening.
Okay, because it is always good to sort of check in and see where we're moving. But yes, it's a thumbs up. But if you have any question, please, you can unmute Ojok Santo. He may have a contribution also. And Okot Wilfred, you can unmute them. Maybe they need to ask on something. Yes. Ojok, do you have any contribution to this?
Ojok is muted. You can please make your submission if you have any. Mr. Ojok?
Goretti, I think you'll agree with me next time we'll request for a video so that everyone on call will do a video conference versus where we have participants that are practically looking at other issues, but in the training, because we need to understand the level of engagement and uptake of this information. So colleagues, please share some questions and feedback to us so that we understand that we are at the same page, because the next thing will be more, yes, we are looking. So anyway, yeah, in the chat, I see that Ojok is saying they're listening. Jackson, so I need to hear you speak actually. Jackson Chikomeko, Mukasa Davido, because at the end of the day, it makes us listening is good, but also talking back is the best thing, because we now get to understand what you feel and get the discussion going. What about you, Goretti?
Mr. Okech is back. I think we can still continue with this presentation.
Okay.
Lazarus, are you there?
Goretti, on your
Lazarus,
side, if you can project his slides and put where he had ended, we can try, because we did this as a team. I'll try to continue with the presentation so you can share his screen. Dorothy, as you do that, Pross is asking that she's getting confused. Must we do data analysis as deep as writing stories? Kindly guide a bit. So yeah, Prossy, like I said earlier, good enough that we have people, we have colleagues helping us to collect this data. So for you to land on a report and just pick on information that is broad without understanding it.
I was going to talk after people breaking it. I'm just writing now.
Ojok, let me finish the submission, then you can come in. So as responding to process, as responding to process, Dorothy, just kindly mute Ojok. Yes. Okay, so as responding to Prossy, telling you that you do not need much to report or a lot of data, but you need to understand and appreciate sources of data, because at one time, maybe you're doing an investigative story on the energy transition and you need to collect your information and data. So at that point, maybe that's when you need some real inclusive data to be captured in your story. And this normally happens when you're doing a documentary where you need to have the ABC of everything. So stories come in different forms. It is written, it is audio and visual. So normally for visual stories where you need to give us real evidence, visit these places and tell us the number, impact, that's when you actually need to report that much. But yes, I will agree with you that you must not go deep down as you do the data analysis, because normally that data is already analyzed for you. You can team, I know, even as you have editors, but you have also people in M&E department in your media houses to verify these data sources. So what you need to be careful with is who is giving you the information. You might end up reporting a story that will land you in problems. You recall that there were stories that were reported around Chitezi, as an example, Chitezi landfill, with mixed feelings. Everyone came up with different reports, especially the number of people who lost life due to the eruption of methane. Methane that would have captured, all looking at the benefits of utilizing for example, methane gas for cooking, if it would have been tapped earlier or not. So having mixed reports, knowing that you can even go on ground to collect your own data is the best thing you can communicate as a journalist, because people are watching these stories and they believe in media houses. So you need to have credibility of your media house to make sure that you do not provide information that will jeopardize the sort of the image of the media house. I think that's clear enough for you. Proceed. Okay. So because we are talking about data analysis and we lost Lazarus to complete this section, data analysis is after you've collected, used all the primary and secondary data, you've purely coded. Data coding is more of giving it meaning, where you can actually interpret the data. For example, someone may tell you that, yes, we are already using clean cooking technologies, and you only have to give it meaning by giving it a response of 1, or maybe a scale if you're collecting attitude and perceptions. Yeah, so what happens here is, you being descriptive, you need to have like issues. For example, the transition of cooking fuels between those different outreach campaigns, tracking, like, yes, for example, you've been going to Ginger every time for awareness, but you found that these people told you they do not have information. Then you do all what it takes as a media to create awareness, and you're going back to ask if your information, if your social media has actually created some level of influence. We are running some media campaigns, for example, with Capital FM, BBS, NBS, and we hope to work with more of you. That's why I'm actually pointing you to a project. It could be a project on squeezebacks. We did one during the budget period with NBS, and they have issued actually a very good media report. Rachel is our communication officer. She can drop that media report from NBS for you to look at how such campaigns are reported. Maybe it could be one of your projects you want to do after this training, that you want to tell us, you want to have a media campaign, maybe for 2 weeks, then see what people's perceptions are. And at the end of the campaign, you want to ask them about learning, which becomes a measure. You have to be intentional of the measurement. Measurement, normally we measure between, like we use things like counting, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. We use the mean, average. I'm taking you back to some mathematics, and also mode. You can use graphs, pie charts. You will note that in most of our presentations we are making here, we made it visual. And visual, giving you data on gender, ensuring that gender statistics is part of the trainings, and also giving you trends and patterns. So an example of the pattern, old trend, is when we say we want to move from 20% like 90% biomass domination to at least 50% of people utilizing biomass and increasing the share of using electricity in the country. Once you have those time series data where you place and say, okay, by this period, within 5 years, making considerations of all that, these are going to form a basis of our country's transition. So your stories you're going to publish are going to be able to inform what will happen, because there is a lot of things that are happening on social media and in newspapers, where we want to look and read actually very nice stories. It could be information on the sales. We are promoting a behavior change communication campaign project, and we are asking people, please invest, some being subsidized and others being at full price, but invest in purchasing a pressure cooker, for example. And with this, you can go back and ask about the purchase, the sales that have been experienced since the behavior change campaign. Depending on your interest, you need to plan your analysis. You have your primary data, you know the questions you normally, I think you've seen at university, people who have thumbs up if you've been involved in a dissertation making process, or leave a comment if you've actually participated sort of like in data collection, and also tell me which methods you're using in the chat to collect your data that you include in your stories. We'll be able to applaud you all, make a comment on that. Next slide. So as we do that, as you provide some contribution in the chat about which data collection methods you're using, Rachel, just the next slide. You can analyze your data using pivot tables. Once data is collected using tools, these pivot tables are already added, and it can help you sort the data in a very easy way according to its characteristics. For example, data may be about age range. It could be between a code of 0 to 1 or a scale of 1 to 5. With pivot tables, you can always code and have quantified inclusive data. When you want to report on the number of women who are accessing clean fuels versus the men after your survey or after your data collection, you have clearly coded it. Then you have charts and formulas. Do not only stick to reporting with pictures. Give us some level of in-depth understanding of what you're presenting to us if it is a newspaper pullout. That could be your one project for members actually who are in print media when you say, okay, we want to have a pullout on clean cooking and we want to work on NREP to correct all these stories, work with their partners and have one issued out maybe during independence period. That could be a very good way to present charts and formulas. And we have, for example, cloud-based spreadsheets. Cloud is, yes, in the air. There are all those softwares where we do data storage. But do not worry, because what we have here is we have practitioners who are there to give you these statistics to help you get meaning. Because, yes, you may not be aware of the statistical softwares like Stata, SPSS, and Minitab, but a very easy way to get your data done and actually a free version is the Microsoft Excel that can require your attention. Any chat, I asked you to put in the chat. Goreti, do I have any data methods that have been shared on how journalists are collecting information?
And nothing has been shared, or someone has just shared. During my university, I used questionnaires, interviews, and someone who Nakunda Rachel, literature review, questionnaires, interviews, and key.
Okay, I think Rachel will tell us more about key. We do not know, but yes, literature review is a way of retrieving existing data from secondary sources. It could be a statistical abstract telling you about the population. There's one good one, actually, on statistical data. Rachel, respond what key is. But on statistical data, for example, after the census, a lot of information is collected on household behavior, the demographics. So what we see there is having a sort of like literature review of what has been documented under government statistical abstracts, all the sector policies and strategies. So you're retrieving information. Then when you use, you design your questionnaire and do an interview is the best way to undertake a research. So to just bring you to speed, this week's assignment, Goreti will actually type it for you, and I'll re-emphasize it also after this brief. We're going to be using the questionnaires and interview. We're going to design a questionnaire of about 5 inclusive social questions that will help you assess the behavior change in the cities we've covered in this campaign since we started in August. We've worked with focal persons, for example, Gulu, Arua, Kabale, Fort Poto, Jinja, Mbale, Masaka. So you can provide the numbers of those focal persons. Right? Use these 2 weeks to try and actually inform yourself of what behaviors. Ask them of what happened before versus what is happening now. Do not stick to only your city. For example, if you're in Gulu, you can cross to Kabale, all Fort Poto, to ask how the behaviors are changing ever since they received information on clean cooking. So they're also asking, Kenya is asking for the link of WhatsApp. We may not be able to share it now, but please do send us a message on that, then we'll be able to share the link with you. We are looking at Ojok Santo asking about content analysis and data analysis. These are quite similar. I think in media, the information you're normally using is content analysis, content versus data. So content can be in form of text or data. And even data can be in form of text or numbers, sorry, not data, but numbers. So it is the same language, it's just that that context is different when you use it. Okay, thank you. And Ojok says in his newsroom, he normally uses interviews, survey, and data analysis. Give him a thumbs up. Give him a like on his submission. Thank you. Any other question? Goretti?
Not seen any question. I think Mr. Kate can take over.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I hope you can hear me. Where I am, there's no power. The laptop is about to black out, but I'm using my phone. So Goretti, I wanted to just demonstrate how to use pivot tables. I don't know if I can just finish this very fast. So best practices when you're reporting, like Maria has mentioned a number of times, kindly use credible data. Reference using credible within your article. Secondly, understand do not blame. For example, if you want to conduct an interview, decline the offer or declines to give you an interview, please don't blame them. Try to understand people first, go through, and then include lessons in your reporting. Include those lessons that will help you or somebody else who is undertaking a similar research to understand what to do in a given context. For example, if you went with an aim if you went to collect data with an aim of using your camera to collect information and you reach a particular community, you here we don't use cameras. For example, if it is a cultural institute. Hello.
We can hear you, Mr. Lazarus.
Yes, please. So if it is a cultural institution and they clearly tell you that here we don't use a camera to collect data, and you end up using another method, kindly include it in your report so that next time you know what to use, or somebody else can use your information or the data you've come up with to tailor their data collection method another way. And also, sorry about that. Learn how to diversify the voices within your report. So have a gender aspect reporting. Don't collect data only from rural areas or urban areas for a holistic reporting, unless it is tailored towards the given demographic population. If you're collecting for urban areas only, within the urban area also, there are so many different segments. There are informal settlements, there are institutions, the prisons, barracks, and what. Try to make the data that you've collected, try to be inclusive and recognize different segments within a particular subject, a particular locality. Unfortunately, my laptop has blacked out. Goretti, kindly help me upload the presentation. I think I'm losing only 2 slides, and then we can go to the Excel sheet. I'll be direct on how to go about it. Goreti, please.
Are you able to see? Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, Goreti, you can go to, I think it's try 16.
16.
17. Is that 17?
Yes, it is.
So yeah, you can go to presentation mode, maybe it can enlarge. Okay, so we are looking here, we are looking at data presentation. So you finish analyzing your data you have analyzed. Remember, you've analyzed this data either through descriptives, through models, formulas. Yeah, so you are now presenting your data. Number one, as you're starting your narrative in the data presentation, define what your data is all about. You can give your background of the research, and then tell us what is inside the data and what were the key takeaways from this data that you collected and analyzed. So that the reader, as the reader is starting to appreciate the information you're trying to relay, they get a feel of what is inside the document before they actually delve into the actual reading of what you have provided. That format doesn't follow all kinds of data. Some reports are simply statistical, showing different abstracts, but still giving a small narrative of what your data is all about is very important. Number two, choose the right format based on your channel of dissemination. So you're not going to use the same format for newsprint and then for digital articles, TV and audio. These are different channels of communication. So choose a format for presentation based on the channel that you're going to use. If you're going to use different channels, you can pick the same piece of information, relay it differently for different types of dissemination channels. Number three, use the right visualization. Choose a chart that matches the data and message. For example, let us say I want to understand what the percentage of male and female data was within the data that I collected. Do I use a graph? Do I use a pie chart? Do I use a line graph? Do I use a histogram? You know, there are different types of charts. So you choose the right chart to visualize based on what you're trying to communicate. If I'm looking at a trend, let us say I want to find out between the 2nd month and the 8th month of the NREP campaign, how are the sales? Are they increasing? Are they decreasing? Now, do I look for a pie? There, you don't need to use a pie chart for that because it will not show you the trend. A graph can try to show you the trend, but you'll have to use a graph and insert a trend line that can visually explain the trend that you're trying to portray. Or you can use a line graph. At least a line graph should clearly show someone a trend. And then, Great, you are still on the same slide. 17, I think. Hello? Great, next slide, I think. Next. Next. Gority, I think it's the next slide. Hello, Gority, next slide, please. Aha, that one. Okay. Yeah. So depending on the type of channel that you've used, you might want to get feedback from the population. For example, if you've used digital media, let us say you've produced a documentary, you would like to make it interactive. So I think it's not the same as using a newspaper print, because for newspaper print, you'll either have to leave a telephone number for someone to call you, which is also very key when you're putting out information out there. For you to get feedback, kindly ensure that you put either your name or some sort of contact where you can be reached, so that you can keep engaging the different your target population. Great. I think that is the end of the presentation. I just wanted to just demonstrate how to use pivot tables. I don't know how I'm going to do it manual. I mean, from here. Could you upload the Excel sheet? Great. I don't think that is the one.
Oh. Is it visible now? Is it the one?
That is not the one.
This I've just shared, isn't it the one?
No, it's not the one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, so yeah, so let's say for example you come across a database, or you've collected your data through Kobo Collect. So this data was collected by NREP during the baseline survey that we did late last year. And this is how it appears in Excel. So we used Kobo Collect to collect this data. Just like when you collect data using the questionnaires, like Maria has mentioned for the assignment, it can appear with, for example, like this. So this was the raw data. So the pivot tables that we are going to use, you go to Insert, go ready. So after collecting your data, you have looked through it, cleaned it. Cleaning meaning you look through all the fields that are there to make sure that you have no missing values. You don't have wrong values where they are not supposed to be. For example, if you're looking at gender, the column for gender, and you have gender is supposed to have either male or female. Then you come across an answer which says, in gender, it says firewood. Okay. So that is the cleaning I'm talking about. So after cleaning, you're going to analysis. Great, please go to insert. I hope everybody can see. Okay, so the first icon on the left says pivot table. First click on that. Or just click on pivot table, just up. Yeah. Okay, press OK. So when you click on pivot table, it says it gives you the range of data which has been selected, which is the entire data which you want. So I hope everybody is seeing the screen. So on the right of the screen, you have pivot table fields. Then it says choose fields to add to report. Now here, where the fields are, so the different columns that appear in your Excel sheet, for example, gender, you have male, you have female, then the types of, let us say you asked a question on what is the type of the primary cooking fuel that in your household. Then you asked a question on how much money do you spend every month. Those columns in the Excel sheet. So all those columns here on where you see pivot table field. You can try scrolling up on the right of it.
Dr. You're breaking. We can't clearly get you.
Okay. Great, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Is it better?
Audible. Yes, it is.
Okay. When you see when you look at the window, so we have tables. It brings us to this window. So on the right of the window, there is on the right, there is a pivot fields. And in the pivot field contain all the data or all the columns that are within the Excel sheet that we looked at earlier. So Goret, if you try to scroll up and down that window so that colleagues can appreciate the data which is there. So that data is of the fields that are within the Excel sheet, the columns. So I think S6 is gender. First scroll to S6 and you see what is there.
Exactly.
Field for
Lazarus? Lazarus?
Yeah, saying that I think the market size, this we're uncertain about it, is also high impact and subtle. The market size, we'll be able to deliver to. And that is something we need to face because we are still doing the interviews and we've actually figured out we may not be able to supply those that.
Lazarus, we cannot hear you.
The households, we are getting mixed feedback as well. I will maybe consider it somehow, but for the restaurants, a big number. It's certain to consider here. So there, I think like overall, it's still, I don't find the answer. But because if you don't find out the young man here,
Lazarus, we have lost you.
Well, I think we lost Lazarus again due to network issues that can actually happen when you're collecting feedback from colleagues. So what we're suggesting, we shall record the pivot table demonstration. We'll do a very short video for you so that you know how to do that. Is that okay? Okay. So, yes, okay. Ben says it's fine. I think it will be important for you to learn a skill, but social media has a lot of these resources, for example, through YouTube. Feel free to go in and find in such resources. Okay, I think it is really time to take your questions in the chat before I actually lost it. I know you were able to see the question I typed for you. So please get in and take note of that assignment. Goretti, you can pick the same assignment and put it on WhatsApp so that our colleagues are able to follow, but also add your email address to it. I was just typing it here, but please pick it and put it on WhatsApp. For colleagues who are not on WhatsApp, please take our numbers and ask to be added. As this week, we are focusing on collecting with a very short blog or story. It could be between 150 to 200 words. Just feedback when we connect you to our focal person. Just feedback on how you feel the behavior change campaign is going, specifically on e-cooking, though you can tap into and do a comparison with other clean cooking technologies. Do we have any questions? We don't have to end by midday. If you do not have really questions, we can continue more interactions via WhatsApp. It should not be a problem. Okay, Jackson is saying, I am trying to understand how this pivot table can help me. The person who normally deals with videos. Okay, so for Jackson, this can help you when you really have to analyze some data, then present that data graphically. So at the end of the day, if you're dealing with primary data and you want to quantify it and create a table or an illustration or a line graph for your viewers to see a trend in growth, then that's when you need to use such data. Otherwise, if you have a production team, because normally most journalists in videography prefer just showing us face of people instead of showing us sort of like a trend. But trends that enriches your infographics, and also if you introduce such data, it increases the visuality of your concept or your video you're trying to communicate. You may actually want to work with Lazarus to do maybe a documentary as one of your takeaway projects from this training, to do a documentary and communicate a behavioral change in a city you may want to cover. So that it is one of the things we look at, how to integrate pivot tables in videography. We are highly interested to see how we utilize such research findings and data into an infographic that comes now into the reporting. I hope that is clear. You can respond in the chat or you can ask to speak back. Yes. Yeah, Ben is saying pivot tables is more attached to TVs and print media. No, you can actually, anyone dealing with data needs to analyze their data. So in case you're writing, like for example, you have maybe radio. Yes, actually, if you're doing for radio, then you do not need it, because you need it because you're going to be speaking back to an audience. but you'll just be reading. But also these days we see radio programs having media like websites where information is shared on audio, but later they try to visualize what they were saying. You can see during COVID, it may not be energy sector, but the COVID era, where everything was visualized to tell us how many people are affected, how many new cases of COVID-19 and so on. Yes, so you can actually speak to, analyze your data and come and present it to the audience, and also maybe make some web analytics and so on. Okay. Any other questions that we haven't really attended to? Okay. Over to you, Goreti.
Thank you so much, Maria and Mr. Senior Absentia. You're asking for the registration. Registration link is submitted in the chat. You can go there and do your registration now. And then for the assignments, we are still waiting for the assignments from the first session to this session. You can still submit your assignment just in case you did not do that for the first session and also the second session. We still want your participation in this so that we can make it a success. Thank you so much for attending. And thank you so much for interest in yourself to learn more and also to add something on this sector of clean cooking. So someone is asking for the presentation. The presentations are going to be shared in the WhatsApp group, and the link will be shared on all the media pages for National Renewable Energy Platform. Please feel free to visit us on those social media platforms and see what we do, and also get those presentations from there. The audio recording will also be, the session recording will also be posted there for your reference and for your review during the course of doing the work.
Okay. Yes, Goreti, just to add, like I just want to emphasize the end line of all this. When we conceptualized media training, what we did, we put in a slot of 5 mini media projects, ranging from maybe a newspaper article, a documentary, a radio program, just 5. You may choose to work with a colleague or present it as one, but it's going to be a fair competition. In our 5th session, we will ask you to make a presentation, a 5-minute presentation of what you want to do, and we'll only select those who have actually labored to share back some of these assignments. It could be an activity that you want to host, a clean cooking activity at your media house. That is possible, especially colleagues. I know this will not sound good for colleagues who are up country for physical engagement, but for news and radio, it could be something you want to do, and maybe moderate a radio program, which we make contribution to, maybe via online and so on. So during these 2 weeks, as you document the behavior change, also start documenting. You can start sharing with us. It can be a maximum of about 5 PPT slides where you write back to us and say, this is what I want to do in the 6th week, so that post-training, we are able to allocate these resources we are going to spread amongst you trainees and come up with a very good communication work plan. So you may want to cost it, give us some indication of what it involves. If it is a demo, tell us what it involves to host maybe a clean cooking demo. If it is a documentary, what does it cost to capture a documentary? But at the end of the day, also air such a story on your TV program, on clean cooking, but focusing mainly on e-cooking. We look forward to those submissions as you share with us your PowerPoint presentations and your assignments. We will only be considered, it will be really first come, first serve. And we are looking up to at least 10 of you benefiting from this, but an open ticket to Renewable Energy Conference. We'll have a special session on media and clean cooking. So all those opportunities will be coming forward. Over to you, Goretti, for your wrap up.
So Mr. Lazarus has just got onto the network and he's saying that he's going to insert the recordings for the pivot table into the presentation, so you have a full view of them. So again, I want to remind you that at the end of this session, we are going to have a field trip to areas that have benefited into the clean cooking space. So you have like a practical view of these clean cooking technologies. We shall also have the one-on-one session, the in-person sessions that will be wrapping up this training. Thank you so much for coming through. I guess we can, Madam Maria can close up, and we just have a closure today.
If someone would just put up their hand and I give them the opportunity to close our meeting, just hearing back from one maybe of our media representatives. I've really heard it all. Thank you so much, Lazarus, for really guiding us on how inclusive we can be, reporting back and seeing that these stories actually make meaning, but just not with video and audio, but being innovative on how we present our data. So anyone who wants to jump in, we call it a day. Mukisa Vian. Yes, you can actually turn the meeting.
Thank you, Maria. We are what we are because of what we hear, what we've been taught, and media plays a role as a channel of communication for people to receive information. So that's why this training is very, very important, especially to begin to understand how we can effectively communicate issues clean cooking. So this is an important training, and we believe that by the time it is concluded, we will have attained skills and we have an empowered media movement that can report accurately and effectively in this age of misinformation, disinformation, and many other things. So it is very, very important. So let's take this seriously, and it's a good opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Vian. Remind me of your media house, please. It's always
Resilience
good to others. It is?
Yeah. Resilience 360. It's an online platform.
Please share your link on WhatsApp as well, and even in the chat. Maybe colleagues can go and check on your stories. Feel free to also share what you write about in clean cooking via the WhatsApp group. Use that platform as one where you put out your information. And actually, just for your information, as we run through this, we have an upcoming Women in Climate Change conference. It is one that also NREP is interested in. So we will be giving you all that information. It could be a platform for you to collaborate and share this information. But also we will have quite a number of pre-reg sessions that
Okay, as Madame Maria is coming back, I think we can have Basemera say something. Okay. Basimera, you can say something? Unmute, please, and you say something. Basimera, please. Your hand is up. You can say something. Madam Basimera, your hand is up and I've given you permission to speak. I think we can call it a session. Let's meet on the next Friday as we are having the forthcoming session. Thank you so much for attending. And we look forward to seeing you again.